Hey y'all,
Hey there.
it's me again coming to you with another episode. This week we're going to call this hashtag forgiveness. Just in case you don't know, forgiveness is so powerful because it plays dual roles. It allows you to let go of the negative feeling that you're holding, and then it also allows you kindness toward yourself so that you can move on. You can let go and be past an issue without feeling guilty about it. So today, I have my homie Chelsea with us to talk about forgiveness. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, Shawne. Thank you for having me here. Yes, forgiveness is really important to grow forward. I agree.
It is very important, and a lot of people think that they can just push through and not don't even think about it being necessary to forgive somebody. It's like somebody wronged me. I hate them. I don't want to be bothered with them. And they carry this grudge, this weight in their heart, and they go through life like that. And
And it's hindering them. It's really the person has gone on with their life and they're stuck.
yeah, but the hindrance, let's talk about the hindrance.
Yeah.
What does the hindrance do? Like, people don't realize that hindrance, it's a gate, it's a wall that keeps you from blessings.
Yeah.
It keeps you from clean thinking, judgment.
Yes. Yes. The hindrance is stifling your growth. Healing is important. The hindrance is almost cancerous in the sense of it's stifling your growth. It's blocking the flow. If you think of a pipe, and when there's a clog in the pipe, you have to get through that. You have to remove that so that the pipe can serve its
That's
purpose.
that's a good analogy. Like a clunk of hair.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it hinders the flow. And the purpose of the pipe is to flow, whatever you want to be able to flow through. And in order for you to be able to flow in doing and becoming, that forgiveness is a blockage. It's a block.
So the hindrance, if if we had to make sense out of getting past hindrance, things that I've done in my personal life to keep to to get free flowing pipes, since we use that analogy.
Yeah, yeah.
The blockage is to immediately accept what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, whatever the issue is, somebody wronged me, just look at it face value. And the first thing I do is look at me, because we all have a part.
Yes.
So I look at me and I forgive myself first,
Yeah.
because it takes two to disagree.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It takes
Yes.
two to disagree. So I look at my part, and I'm not saying all the time you will have a part, but you have something.
Yes.
It could be your reaction to something that someone said that could turn into something bigger than what it should be. Whatever. I look at my part and acknowledge it, and then I look at the other person's part, and then I spin it to think of like what they could have possibly been going through, to see why they were thinking the way they were. Do you agree?
I don't really. I think my approach is different because I try to flow from a pure heart.
Mm-hmm.
So before I respond or before I initiate,
You check
I
yourself.
check me 1st. So that if I'm operating from a pure heart, if you don't tell me that it was offensive, or if you don't say to me, I didn't like that, then I'm going to keep moving, if that makes sense. So that if I'm offending you, I won't know unless you tell me.
Okay, so like if we're talking and you say something and it rubbed me the wrong way, and I
Right.
don't stop right then and there and say,
Right.
"Hey, Charles, you hurt my feelings."
Right, right.
Oh, okay. So you
I
wouldn't
don't.
know.
And the reason I do that is because I don't want to assume or try to think for the other person. So that's kind of freeing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like, as when I surrender control, and if you're accepting me for who I am, I'm just going to be who I am, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't go into a conversation determining your response. I just have to go in being who I am.
So, like, what if it didn't happen that way? You offended me. I went home
Mm-hmm.
and I thought about it, and I was just like, it didn't have to go down that way. I wonder why is Chelsea treating me like this today. I'm upset with her. The bigger me, the grown me, would get on the phone and say, "Yo,
Right.
why you say that?"
Right.
Or
Right.
something like
Right.
to confront you. But the smaller me would just, I'm gonna leave Chelsea alone for a minute. So, addressing it up front or checking yourself, that's
Yes.
a good way
Yeah.
to keep from having a hindrance in your flow. But what if it's a situation where you're not in front of a person, and it could be a text or email or something like that? Just go back to just checking yourself and maybe calling the person, or like.
Or I would question it. Hey, what did you mean? Because sometimes you can read a text and get a wrong interpretation of what the person meant. So I just ask questions. I think the childlike space is safe for me. So I don't want to assume what you meant, or I don't want to. But if it offended me, my first question is, why am I offended? You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Before I even ask you, my first thing is, okay, I know I'm in a healing posture. I know all I'm concerned with is healing and becoming whole, becoming healthier. So my thing is, did this trigger something? Did this take me somewhere?
Check
where
myself.
You saw what I mean? And so then I'm checking me, right? And then I'll say, oh, what, did I read this right? Or did you mean this? Or do you have a second? Can we talk about it? One or the other, and so then I can say, oh yeah, no, I didn't mean it that way. Or, oh yeah, no, I'm choosing me right now. Or, you follow what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it can go in depth as far as what the misunderstanding is. Yeah. Forgiveness is big though, because forgiving the other person, even if it doesn't, even if you agree to disagree, the forgiveness portion is freeing you more than it is them. Because you can be locked up in chains, and they gone on with their life, whether they apologize or not. So when you forgiving them, you're taking the power back.
Yeah, that's why my intro, I said dual roles.
Yeah.
Because I can see that in myself. Like, back in the day, I could hold on to something.
Yeah.
And in the interim, I'm losing sleep. I'm losing my appetite and all of that stuff. So it's a process to get to that point. But you're right.
It's a big process.
Yeah.
Though. It really is. It's real grown.
It is grown.
It's really like putting on your big girl panties, so to speak. It's grown. And it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm taking my power back. It's allowing you room to be able to decipher and say, yep. And then it also helps you to evaluate, do I want more? I'm big on making lists, the pros and the cons, and what, is this good for me? Is this not good for me? And what worked before might not be working today, to allow the other person to grow.
That's more organized, a more organized approach, I must say.
Yeah.
And that's definitely some space that you have to grow into.
Yeah, it's freeing too.
It is freeing, but you're doing two things at once.
Yes.
You're talking about duality.
Yes.
You are actually making a smart choice to say, you know what, I'm accounting for time and space that I don't know that I'm going to be granted.
Right.
So I'm going to make this decision right now. Is this working for me? Do I want to go there ever again with this situation? So that's big time.
It is. It really is. But when you think from a forgiveness for me, daily, I need God to forgive me, right?
Well, God
so
forgives
with His
us.
grace and His mercy, right? So the grace of God gives me way more than what I deserve, right? And mercy doesn't give me what I should get, if that makes sense.
Thank
you
God.
Understand? And so when I think of how much He forgives me over and over and over and over, the Word of God says brand new mercy
every day,
right? So it kind of allows me to liberate another person, and it helps me see them from His perspective as opposed to mine.
Extending grace.
Yes.
Extending grace.
Yes.
And
but it doesn't mean that you're accepting the behavior.
Right. You're the same, although we are not Christ,
right.
obviously.
Right.
But to be a Christian is to be Christ-like.
Yes.
So to take that approach is the right approach.
Yeah.
And we stumble, and I think we fail to see our part sometimes, where we're wrong, where we're forgiven. God continues to forgive us,
Right.
and to take the approach to extend grace to our fellow brother or sister
Right.
is the right thing to do.
And then on top of that, not and on top of that, there are times that we're forgiving people that we didn't have no part in it.
Ever.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Minding your business and it was afflicted upon you,
Mm-hmm.
and you still there's a freeing to be able to forgive them, even if it only caused you harm.
Sometimes it doesn't have to cause you personally harm, but it
Right.
could cause your loved ones
Yes.
harm.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
consider loved ones your family, your
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
whoever that you hold close to your heart. It's big, but the affliction part,
Yeah.
the affliction part, when you love somebody, you hurt for them,
Yeah.
still the same. So the forgiveness part would be the same as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm thinking from childhood trauma. I'm speaking from that, from the childhood trauma that just being a child, things were happening to me that I had no
Control.
say in or no control over. And just being like a child, I forgave them. I forgave them, and I carried that weight until I was able to determine that that wasn't supposed to happen to me. That wasn't a part of who God called me to be or to help me develop as a healthy young woman. And so the forgiveness went deeper. It went deeper because it would, in a case where this is a person you trust is supposed to protect you. This is a person that's supposed to lead and guide, and you're afflicting pain and trauma to me, right? And it affected my life growing up. It altered my entire life growing up to the point of even till their demise, I forgave them. I believe God for their healing. I had to put them to rest when they passed. You understand what I'm saying to you? And still, even after they're gone, wanted to make sure their ashes were in a place that would still flourish. Now, I know to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, but I still didn't mishandle them to the end.
That's big.
You feel what I'm talking about? So, yeah, it's God. It's God's grace. And if I know that I need His forgiveness daily, I'm actually in a space right now that I'm thankful for the challenges that I encounter because it's a learning opportunity. It's a learning opportunity.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I mean, especially since we don't go out handpicking
No.
our challenges. It's just like, wake up,
Yes.
you start out one,
Yeah.
you have one emotion when you get up and you start your day, and you end your day with a whole different emotion. So I'm thankful for those challenges as well, because if it were not for those challenges, I wouldn't have growth.
Right.
But you have to be able to put yourself in a position to look at challenges and take them for what they are. Yeah, they may make you uncomfortable. They may bring some type of residue. But once you get past all of that, to look back and say, oh, there was a lesson.
Yeah.
In all of this for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It always is a lesson. There's always, not necessarily for you, you might be displaying a lesson to someone else. So that's where, when we say yes to God, it's not yes in this area, but not in this area. When you say yes,
it's yes.
It's just yes, right? It's a blanket yes, and it's however you see fit. So when speaking to the ladies on Sunday, when what happens is God is God, right? And He has the final say in whatever we're doing and whatever we're going through. But it changes your perspective on how you see the things that are happening. It's like, I dare say, if I'm comfortable, I'm not growing.
You know, my grandmother said something very similar. It's not about forgiveness, but she said when I was rearing my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
if every day she's your friend,
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. We strive in a sense to be comfortable growing up in life and whatever comfortable looks like or what that means to you. But in my moments of comfort, I would say that I'm not growing.
Right. So being comfortable, could you say that being comfortable would include having unforgiveness because you're not forcing yourself to
Mm-hmm.
deal with
Yes.
the issue at hand?
Yes.
So it's easier for you to just live a life
Yes.
full.
Void or
Mm-hmm.
null or numb.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have called themselves forgiving someone. You hear people say that time heals all wounds, but that's not true.
Mm-mm.
That's not true.
You gotta address
No,
it.
you have to address it. Time just makes you numb until it rises
It makes
up
it
again.
easier also.
Is it really easier though?
Well,
Because then if you see
out
the
of
person,
sight, out of mind.
okay.
In that respect.
I got you.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If somebody says the person's name, or you see the person, and if your mouth is watering, your stomach is jumping, it's like you ain't dealt with that.
You haven't.
You understand? It's like no, they still have that power over you or that situation. But if I can see you just the same as I see them, or that my heart don't flutter, or the phone ring and they call, or hey, what's happening? How you doing? You understand what I mean? So time only makes you numb until a situation similar to that, or it could be a totally different person, and it triggers something in you, and you're like, oh, that made me.
It takes me there.
Yeah. So that's when you know that you haven't forgiven.
Over.
Yeah, you know it's not over, and that's with anything or anybody, right?
So is it easier to just get past it, just to automatically check yourself and make a decision? The person's forgiven regardless. I'm not going to harp on this. I'm going to forgive them. Or is it in every instance?
I think you got to feel it.
Yeah, but because in every instance you can't. There's some resolution that needs to take place. There's some conversations that need to. But what if you can't?
And so that's when it becomes, why is this bothering me still? What do I need to do to deal with it? Because even in this healing process, I've had to write letters. So I've wrote letters to people to basically express how I'm feeling as far as a grieving, whatever that trauma, whatever the issue is. So I'm writing a letter to the individual, and I'm allowing myself to go through, but you have to feel it. It's not a checklist. And it might take you a day. I don't know. It may take you an hour. Whatever it is and how much it weighed on you. You understand what I mean? I think that we try to jump past the feeling it. And the feeling it is all a part of the
healing process.
Yeah.
So there is no time limit to be in that space.
No.
But it's tricky because you can be in that space and say you're working through, but you're still holding on to that unforgiveness.
But that's working through it.
That's working through
You got to unpack it, depending on how big it is. Something big to me might not be that big to you, but or the expectation that you might have had from the situation or the individual, and when they disappointed you and they weren't that anymore, or they made a different choice. Because even with my children, this is something I have to practice, even with my grown young adult
They're
children.
still your children.
But I still have to do this because I might have had a expectation of them growing up, and they've made different choices. And so I have to grieve that disappointment, because at the end of the day, they're their own person. They're not me. I mean, I did my part. You understand? And raise them. And that's what the word say. You raise them right in the fear and the admonition of the Lord. And when they're old, they won't depart. So they have to go through their part, right?
That's real.
And so I listen, each day I might have to grieve something concerning them and some of the choices. And this is probably why some of the standards I have in place concerning them. We just had this conversation on Thursday. I went to the oldest daughter's job, and the young man was saying, well, why you don't do this with her? And I said, because I'm still mama. And there are lines that I can't cross because she's still looking for me for direction.
Mm-hmm.
She's still going to look to me. So if I'm sitting there fraternizing with her in a way
That
that would
pairs equal.
yes, or devalue her respect for me, then she won't look to me for that. You understand what I'm talking about? You know, old folks used to say, you play with a dog long enough, it's gonna lick you in the mouth, right? you know, I don't.
I've never heard that one before.
Really?
No.
Yes. And me, dogs licking mouth? No, that ain't happening. So it's just not happening.
I'm gonna have to write that one down because I never heard that before.
Yeah.
And then, I got a dog. Like,
yes.
Heel.
Exactly.
Sit. Sit, boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard like don't get on the level of them.
Yes.
Then they think.
Yes.
But it's the same thing.
It's the same concept. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You had said something and I lost my track.
Of unpacking it?
Of unpacking. It was about unpacking, but you said something that was really so good. I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
But in the interim, we'll stick to forgiveness and talk about, let's switch gears.
Okay.
Let's talk about forgiveness in a situation where there was death.
Okay.
Let's just say a loved one was murdered.
Okay.
And they spent time and they went to jail, or the person that committed the crime went to jail, and now they're released.
Okay.
You don't have your loved one,
right?
But now this person's out there living their life like it's golden.
Right.
How would you? Because I'm not saying that you would know the person, so you can't just walk up to a stranger and say, "Hey, let's talk. We need to work this out. I need to get this forgiveness thing done."
Right.
Like, how would you deal with that?
I think again that's back to that unpacking, because, and I might be biased because I go to the prison every month. You know what I mean? So I might not be the right person, but I feel like there's.
Say why you go to the prison. You're not on a work release program. She ain't in jail. Let's talk about why you go to the prison.
So I go to the prison monthly for ministry.
Okay.
Right. So it's the men, the women monthly. I rotate both, more the women than the men here lately, but because I'm called to the downtrodden or the discarded, right? I'm a servant, and I believe in second chance, third chance, fourth chance, fifth. But someone who murders my loved one, that's one of those unpacking. You understand, where it would take some time to unpack. And I'm not saying that I won't forgive them, but I'm saying that I would have to unpack it. I would have to unpack it. Yeah. That's why I don't know why the inmates are there. And I choose not to, because I don't want Chelsea to have an opinion about it. I want to believe that God can do for them what he's done for me. So I tend to, where some of them want to tell you, and it's, nope, I'm good. You know, God is able. So I was born, we were all born in sin, shaped in iniquity, but I was born again, right? So that was a choice to become new. So if I'm believing that I'm a new creature daily, then I have to believe that they can be too, but they have to want it, right?
Right.
So I'm not giving nobody a carte blanche card to just go cuckoo, right? I'm just saying that you can't help people that don't want help, right? That's one. You can't help no one that doesn't want help. And then two, they have to want it.
Can you forgive someone that doesn't want forgiveness?
I have to. I forgive them and pray for them. Yeah, I forgive them, because even the perpetrators that caused me harm as a young lady growing up, they never even know I told anyone. That was just me releasing, just getting it off, because at the point of me having the two young daughters, and I'm like, well, did somebody, you understand? And so, but they never knew. And I forbid my mom and the family members, don't ever say a word, because if I forgave them, it's not for you to hold them accountable.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm big on, I can forgive. Yeah. but it's a process.
It is a process.
It's a process, depending on the severity of it. And
I was about to say, it's levels.
It's levels.
It's levels. And I think that is a lot of people's makeup, right? They are built in a box, and they allow people degrees of them. So it's almost like a built-in fail system. Like, oh, you're just my paper boy. You could do whatever. I already don't trust you, don't have any feelings for you. It's whatever. I could care less if I see you again. You know, and it's not the right way to be, but some people compartmentalize that way. And they call themselves guarding their heart when it's still a hindrance.
It is. It's a hindrance. It's, I would dare say, are you loving unconditionally? If you're operating from that space, are you being Christ-like?
Not hardly.
No.
But
if
I know
you
you're
want a
not
heart
asking
of flesh,
me that question.
Yeah. Because if we want a heart of flesh, how do you know you're loving someone if they can't hurt you?
Well, can you love someone and not expect to be hurt? It's nobody. I mean, who are you to expect to live a life and not go through any pain, you know, any discomfort? You know, that is part of life.
It is.
It's not realistic to expect to live a life and never be hurt.
This is true. But I don't think that, I don't go in loving a person expecting them to hurt me. If that makes sense.
That makes a whole lot of sense. It's almost like in school, like on the first day of school, the teacher says everyone has 100.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah, because listen, raising my kids, I sacrificed so much. So you couldn't tell me that they would ever disappoint me because whatever I didn't get growing up, I made sure they had. And I'm not talking from a physical or you know, items. I'm saying just from the love perspective, and from a straight, you know, I'm gonna tell you all of it so that can't nobody, you know what I mean? And just being there, and yeah, you couldn't have ever told me that we would be on the other side of this, and they're grown and they're making other choices, and it's like, what?
And the first thing for me, since you're on my street, the first thing I do is go inward, like, I know good well she ain't never seen me do nothing like this before. What in the world could they be thinking? But you said something earlier, which is key. You know, we are charged to rear these children, and when they're grown, as long as we've set them up, gotta let them go to live the lives that God gave them individually to experiment, just like we did, whether they do it according to
what we want,
or you know, whatever.
And that's where the trust in God, that's where the stretching, so we sing these songs, I'll trust in the Lord, and long as the bank account is full and the water's running and the lights work, I'm gonna trust. You understand what I'm talking about? But do we still trust him when things don't make any sense to us?
You said something. Because that is not easy. You don't wake up in the morning and just say, well, no, it's a process.
No.
It's a process. And because I've seen both sides of that.
Yes.
I've seen sides where I played a game with my daughter. We're having dinner at candlelight. Yes. Because
me and the kids did the same.
We don't have gas and electric. You know, so those single parent times are
real
rough.
Through divorce, through all of it. You still do what you need to do. And I didn't think that I would have to do that on this side with them. But what I'm learning is to take that energy and that love that I might have wanted to put into them, to put into me.
And that's why we have hidden parts. Using trauma. Really.
Yeah.
Flipping it. Flipping it. That's energy wasted. Put it in yourself.
Yes, indeed.
And if you don't have any more energy to put in yourself, give it to somebody else, because there's someone right now that doesn't have enough energy to make it through the day, and just your smile. You would just probably change their life by just being present with a smile, with kindness. But trauma in itself is a learning tool.
Yes, it is.
And it brings me back to forgiveness.
Yes.
And no matter what or how significant the trauma was, how insignificant or significant, because only you can determine,
Right.
how trauma affects you. But at the end of the day, it's still forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Yeah.
It's still forgiveness in order to clean up that hindrance.
And it's not always cut and dry, just forgiveness, because sometimes you have to unpack it in the sense of, okay, so what caused me to hold on to it this long? Or why did it impact me in this way? So it becomes, forgiveness is a part of it, but then it becomes, what did I expect from them and they did not do or be for me? You understand what I mean? So forgiveness can be a portion of so the trauma can say, well, why was I looking for that from them anyway? Why was I expecting them to be this? Or why was I so wounded by what they did? You understand what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So forgiveness is a portion, a major portion. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
downplaying it, but there are other parts of it that we have to say, okay, so that if I saw this same person again, meaning that same spirit, but just a different person,
Mm-hmm.
right? What effect would they have on me?
Mm.
You understand what
I
I'm
like
talking
the
about?
way you say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As the same attitude, the
Mhm.
same
Mhm.
feelings, but
Mhm.
just a different bow
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Because everything, 9 times out of 10, everything that I've encountered in church, I've encountered at work. And then I've encountered it in family.
Mm-hmm.
Or so
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's always consecutively, like, so when I'm at church, when I'm at, it's like, oh, I'm seeing the same thing. Okay.
I'm familiar.
Okay. And so
But are we familiar because we didn't learn the lesson that was supposed to be gained in that specific instance?
not necessarily.
Okay.
It could, so it depends on how God works with you and how
Mm-hmm.
you learn, right? I'm a
Mm-hmm.
hands-on learner, and so sometimes I need that exclamation point.
Make it
You
plain.
understand? You
Make it
understand what I'm
plain.
talking about? So sometimes he's got to bring, here are the levels to this.
Okay.
And here, so when you deal with it, you want to deal with it totally,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to pieces of it. Whereas, and again, it's a personality. I don't deal with the leaves of a bad tree as much as I go to the root. And that's probably why, like in the prison, I'm so effective, and why I just continue to go there,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a root to it, not the leaves necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm talking about? So yeah, the fluff doesn't excite me as much as the root.
The root.
Yeah. So forgiveness can be a root, depending on what
I
it
was
is.
about to say, if you keep it right there,
Yeah.
if you don't,
Yeah. It can
you're only
bloom
producing,
into something
right?
else.
You
Yes.
continue to produce
Yes.
unforgiveness in more than just one situation where it
Yes.
started.
Yes.
And then it just, all of your leaves on your tree will be completely full
Yeah.
of unforgiveness.
Yep.
And it's a bad tree.
Yes. Yes.
But, we're forgiven
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
it's very important to remember that.
Yeah. It really is. That's a good thing.
Yeah, because unforgiveness harbors not just in your mind, but it spreads like a cancer to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It could cause heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
It could cause a lot of debilitating diseases that would just flat out just put you out, may even take you out of here because of you.
Yep.
And it boils down to you. Forgiving.
Yeah. And you have to unpack it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, we said it's not easy.
No, it's not
Not
easy.
always is it easy. We're not talking about she forgot to give me my Chick-fil-A sauce.
Right. Right.
We're talking about some big time stuff.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Does forgiveness mean you have to put them back in the same space they were?
That's real. So this is Shawne's answer.
Okay.
It may not be the right answer, so listeners, you proceed at risk, because for me, no.
Okay.
I don't, because I have to, at the end of the day, protect me.
Right.
And I spoke about a few minutes ago how hurt hurts you. You hold on, how you're built.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm hurt. When I'm hurt because I give that person 100 in the beginning. So as time progresses and you learn to love a person, you learn to depend on a person, and I'm wired differently, but when that person, and it's partially the way I'm built, you put this person on a pedestal almost, and when they hurt you, the levels are different. It's like, wow, you were here and I would have never expected you to do that to me.
Right.
So the work is hard.
Mm-hmm.
The work is hard. So why would I put that person back in the same spot? Like, why would I want to relive that? That's not the right answer, probably, and I know you know the right answer. You about to hit me upside the head with it, but it's growth, and I'm not there yet. But if you drive me to a dead end street once, I'm not gonna allow you to do it again.
I got you. And that's fair. That's your answer. That's fair. There's no right or wrong answer in the sense of only God will make it clear to you if there's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm talking about? Where when you forgive, that's why I keep saying that there are levels.
Well, let me just say, I could forgive. Plain out, you're forgiven. Life goes on, but I'm not getting back in that car with you.
Okay.
No, I'll drive.
Okay. But in a case like you said, you put the person on a pedestal. Did they
ask to be put on?
Oh.
I knew you were going to say that. No.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. And so then the question becomes, why do you put them there? And it's not necessarily for you to answer, but I'm just something for you to reflect in. So why would you put them there? Because we know that God doesn't want no idol worship is not, you understand me? He's a jealous God.
Well, yeah, now pedestal and worship is two different things now.
I got you.
I'm just putting you in a special place.
I got you.
Like you're my Marvel hero club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
No, one savior here.
I get it. But, forgiving, again, doesn't mean that they will be in my front row.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I forgive you. And then I know that that's a weakness of yours, so you don't need to be in that area.
Oh, so you would take them to dinner with you?
Yeah, probably so.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because if you wouldn't be being true to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Why change?
Yeah.
Because if something happened and you had to do the forgiving,
right.
Obviously,
right.
Your stuff was tight.
Right.
So why are you changing?
Right. To accommodate.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you changing?
Because the idea is we set the standard, right? We're not lowering our standards to appease. The idea is to bring them up. And if Jesus is our standard, you understand? And his love is our standard. So the idea is we can bend, but we don't break. Right?
Yeah.
So, and when you think about Psalm 1:3 in particular, where it says that we want to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, right? So a tree planted by the rivers of water is constantly getting its nutrients. So everything that it needs is being provided. Everything, whether it's emotional, it's physical, spiritual, all of it is being provided because it's planted by that tree. It's a tree planted by the rivers, right? And so the idea is you bend, but we don't want to break.
Would it be fair to say if that tree broke, it could be considered unforgiveness?
It can be. It can be. Tree as a metaphor, not literal, but if a person allow, yeah, it can be. At the end of the day, we're not looking for someone else's apology. That's why the forgiveness is taking the power back. Because their apology isn't going to heal you. Only God is our healer. You understand?
That's deep.
Yeah, their apology, whether they ever apologize, you're going to have
shouldn't
to forgive.
Matter.
Yep.
It shouldn't matter.
So that's why the forgiveness is taking the power back. Because their apology is they acknowledge it, and it could be sincere or it couldn't be. Could be just to get to their next, whatever they want from you. So taking your power back is forgiving them and allowing you to go to God and say, okay, I need you to help me here. I need you to heal me here. I need to know, why did this affect me the way that it did? What am I lacking, or what did I expect or look for them to be to me that they weren't? So it's back to going back to your source. It's back to being that tree planted by the rivers of water. The river of water being Him, the living water,
the living,
right?
true and living
True.
water.
So, and when you think of living water, that's where your life, that's where every nutrient, that's where everything that you need or desire should be coming from Him.
Mm-hmm.
So He is our source. So if you're bending, right, He's going to continue to provide and be what you need.
As
right?
long as you
As long
are
as-
not disconnected.
As long as you're not disconnected.
And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So that's you, your health,
Mm-hmm.
the life, and the free flowing that God allows us to be able to live an abundant life.
Yes.
You know, if you circle back to that being the inside, that being the only thing really that matters, your apology doesn't matter to me. Because at the end of the day, everything is the way it's structured. If I forgive you, you apologize, you go on with your life, I go on with mine.
Right.
And, you know, what's meant to be in the middle will be in the middle.
So tell me, do you forgive a person once they apologize, or are you forgiving them before, once you recognize that there was an issue for you?
For me, I have to forgive them up front.
Yeah.
I have to do it up front because it goes back to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford not to sleep.
Right.
You know, I weigh things are really, really heavy. And if it bothers me, I'm going to lose sleep. I'm going to lose the appetite. Although I probably could lose some pounds. I don't want to lose it that way. But no, seriously, I have to make peace with what happened.
Right.
And make a decision. If the severity, again, it depends on the severity. But if it's something that I can process in my time, I will forgive them. And I could see them a year later when they want to reconcile and let them know, I've already forgiven you.
Yeah.
Because I got things to do.
Right.
I can't be held up by no foolishness.
Right.
You know, and I
Right.
would hope that someone would extend that to me as well. But,
Right.
you know, that's for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why the forgiveness is important, to take your power back. That's it. That's good. There again, I can't say there's a right way or wrong way for you, but God will bring it to you full circle, and you're like,
They will.
ooh.
He will. And it hits different.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Family, it hits different. Friends, it hits different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, best friends, it hits different. But there's a process to getting to that.
Mm-hmm. It's growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're always becoming. We're always becoming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We haven't arrived. You know, and what that looks like, but we're always becoming. Forever a student, forever a posture
a student,
right?
Yep.
And if we are going to be a student about me, right? I'm learning me in a new way.
And
I had
if
to
you
learn
do
that.
that, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you do the work to do that, then it makes it easier, right? To forgive or to turn the other cheek or to not allow things to fester and affect you in ways that would otherwise cause that unforgiveness.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that probably would help, because if you know yourself, you won't even put yourself in situations.
Or you won't be surprised.
You won't be surprised. That's better.
You won't be surprised.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't control other people. And I think that's what my grown kids have taught me, that, and you can't control people, right? So we probably had control of them until they were like 9, 10. And it probably was more of a fear-driven type thing, like, oh, what mommy going to do if, or whatever's going to happen, you know. But at that point, as they develop in their own mind and as they're becoming, you know, their teen. So I dare say, when the little boy told her they were pretty, it was over.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's like it's more of an influence than it is a drilling or chastisement.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it becomes more of an influence because now I see them doing more of what I do. Whereas I was trying to protect it so much when they were little, but I see now as adults that they are doing what I do as opposed to what I say.
And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, yeah. But it can be nerve-wracking in a sense because it's like, don't watch me now.
Well,
You know?
so there was a saying, and I think I even heard it at church. Things are caught more than they're taught.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's the truth.
and we walk our sermon. So,
Yeah, we do. We do.
yeah, well, you do a great job.
Praise
And I
the
look
Lord.
up to you.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you,
you.
sugar. I love
And I
you
thank
too.
God for our friendship. I
I
really
love
do.
you, and I thank God for you. I really appreciate it. It's bumps and bruises, and
Mhm.
through it all. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for you. Yeah, He knows.
Yes, he does.
He
Well,
knows.
thank y'all for listening. This was #Forgiven.
Yeah.